What's good? God is good. I'm your host, Jay Did It. Welcome to Thursday Therapies, a podcast for all creatives, writers, rappers, poets, artists, activists, Sacramento community therapy session. Today I have Shan-Shan, Northern Cali born and raised, wife of Torch One. Shan-Shan got her name from her friend. She come from a music family background. Her performance career started at the 12 years of age in Baptist Church Vacation Bible School, and her mom scheduled her first studio session after that. In 2007, she released an album, Blow Your Mind, on an independent label, Shindig Entertainment. Her cousin King Coop, True Conglomerate Productions, she owned and he produced. Shan-Shan is now co-owner of Woods Wrx Media with her husband, Torch One Blazin. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to Thursday Therapies. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty blessed. I'm here.
You here. That's dope. How's your week going? How's everything going? How's your weekend been going? And
weekend has been going pretty cool. You know, some things going on in my life as far as what I do primarily for my career. That's definitely affected. However, coming here and doing this, being a part of this, it balances it out.
Dope. I see you making business moves. You and your husband. It's been amazing to be able to watch you two grow and help me grow. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you
for
very
sure.
much. So, as you know, Thursday Therapies is a podcast. It's a discussion on mental health awareness. I want to ask you some questions and get your outlook on it. And let's just bring awareness to mental health and let the Sacramento community know what's going on and what you got going on. So, I'm going to start off with a few questions.
Okay.
When did you become aware of mental health and how old were you?
Woo! I think I started becoming more aware of mental health when a lot of social media started coming out, looking at different podcasts on YouTube, listening to different podcasts on Spotify, and definitely it ramped up during the pandemic.
Yeah.
There was a flood of
a
flood of podcasts coming out, and so that's when I became aware of mental health, being aware of what it is and how important it is to make sure you actually hone in on it and take care of it.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. Did you have any instances in your family or dealt with any mental health issues close to home or for yourself?
Yeah, like since I was 5 or 6 years old. However, I didn't know like a traumatic experience.
Right.
Actually played a part in mental health.
Right. We really didn't know exactly what mental health was that back then, but we knew something wasn't right, right?
Correct.
Because that's how I was. Like I knew something wasn't right. You know, I knew there was a lot of dysfunction going on in my life. I just didn't know what it was. But at the age of 12, they tried to prescribe Prozac for me because I was getting into trouble and doing a lot of different things, you know.
Yeah.
And so, they ended up saying that I was severely depressed at the age of 12, so they wanted to put me on Prozac, but my mom wouldn't allow it. She wouldn't allow it. She was like, I'm not putting my kid on those types of things, and she didn't believe in none of that stuff. So it was pretty far back, but we just really didn't understand exactly what mental health was, and my mom didn't really trust the medical field,
right,
and exactly wanting to put me on those medications. So, but I really didn't hone in on exactly what mental health was until after I moved out of home and still was feeling dysfunction.
Right.
Really didn't know what was going on until I was like, I got to figure out what's going on. And I started to go to college and figure out like something ain't right with me. The way I feel ain't right, but I don't want to go get on a whole bunch of medications. So I just started educating myself on it a lot more.
That's what's up.
So did you have any of those instances back when you were younger?
I knew of people like I knew of my friends. Some of my friends, they would talk about medication they were on and stuff like that. I heard of the term ADHD.
Yeah.
And as I got older, went to college, and of course you become more aware and self-educated, right?
Right.
I just thought it was, you hear the acronym ADHD, attention deficit.
Right.
Well, I just think it's some sort of energy that doesn't know how to be channeled.
Right.
Some teachers or parents don't know how to actually work that energy into something.
Right.
Somebody usually acting out because they're crying for attention. Like, okay, I may have a different learning style, or I may need to spend my time over here in this activity.
But really, it's your biology. It's your biology. It's your make, and there's definitely something wrong. There's definitely something.
You think it's wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. It's just everybody's wired differently.
Correct.
And people don't, like you said, don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to handle it. So not necessarily thinking something's wrong, but you should be alert and aware that, something's off and I need to get the help.
Right.
Like I need to figure out what this is and I need to get to help. Because for me, it was just like, oh, she's just bad. She has bad behavior, and that's what I got out of it. So, she's a problem child, but it wasn't the problem child. There was something going on with me.
Yeah.
And so, definitely. Mental health issues. So did you have any, like I said, any mental health issues in your home, close to home?
When you say mental health issues close to home, like, could you give a deeper context? Like,
do you know anybody who's been diagnosed with maybe bipolar or depression, or have you dealt with any depression in your life? Or anxiety? Have you ever?
I do have some. I do have people close in my circle who, pretty much in recent years, have said they are facing some sort of depression.
Yeah.
And I actually like to think about what's the source. It's a trigger. It's a source trigger.
Right.
So it's something or some things going on in their life that
Absolutely.
they're having to deal with. And usually sometimes it's like people are depressed because they feel, quote unquote, abnormal than what they see in society and how they're supposed to play out their life and live out their life.
And that's a pressure. That's a definite pressure. You're sitting here trying to keep up with the Joneses and constantly going through it. But a lot of it has to do with childhood trauma, what we went through as children, and then it goes into adulthood, and then it goes unmanaged for so long, and then it gets out of control. When you're an adult, you just don't really know how to regulate that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people just don't really know to go seek the help, because a lot of people don't trust doctors. They don't,
Right.
There's a big trust factor,
right.
especially in our community, the Black community. There's a big trust factor, with going to doctors and being prescribed medications or wrong medications and too many medications.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even know if it's a prescription from a doctor. That it could be, hey, go to this community member, go to this collective, go to this tribe,
right,
and actually get the healing or be able to express yourself
right,
to some sort of mentor, to some sort of mental health counselor,
right.
So that's what could help as well, and then being able to express it verbally to someone could help too.
Yes,
right,
definitely.
And sometimes we could use somebody telling us, hey, it's okay that you're depressed. It's okay that this is a negative trigger. It's okay that you're going through this, because guess what? We all got our flaws. We all got things we're dealing with and going through, right?
You're right, and that's true. But at the same time, sometimes you just don't know how to pinpoint it, and that's why a lot of people are going out here, misdiagnosed, undiagnosed. Then they start to self-medicate, and then, like I said, my mom, they said I had depression, but they just thought I was a problem child. But clearly there was something going on with me. And she didn't know how to navigate the system to be able to get the, help that I really needed. But they just thought it was acting out. They just thought I was acting out.
That's what they call it.
And in adults, people just, people say, oh, they just going crazy. Oh, they're just, having a bad day, or they're just assholes. And really, they're going through a mental health issue.
Especially in the Black family, like, the Black culture, that term, acting out. Acting up, acting out.
Right.
Acting
a fool.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, they just, that's just how they are.
That's how they are. That's how they are. Yeah. Oh, there they go again. There goes so and so again, acting up.
No.
Yeah.
There's something. Yeah. It's actually a light bulb that's going off to say, hey, give this some attention so that it can get, like you said, properly diagnosed and treated.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure, definitely. Yeah. So, did you have to witness any unfair treatment disparities, mental health disparities in your community? I mean, we see it every day, especially in a Black community. But have you had to witness anything, close to home?
Yeah. I will say this, close to home, and not even like just home per se. Everything I was around.
Right.
So I grew up, quote unquote, in a Black church, and I don't believe in anything such as a black church. It's just a church.
Right.
It's community. It's synagogue. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's masjid. But you see a lot of disparity in the community. You see a lot of like young men, young women not getting the proper mentorship, not getting the proper guidance, and then when it comes time for them to like work out their issues, say they have a disagreement with someone, right? They don't know how to properly communicate. Next thing you know, they resort to violence. And so the violence comes from the disparities of not having enough resource to put into, you know, say for a young man or a young woman.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I see it all the time.
Right.
You know, in our neighborhoods, you know, and I, you know, spent a lot of my time in the neighborhoods, growing up in the neighborhoods. Yeah. So how does that make you feel?
I be feeling sometimes helpless because I know I can only do so much. Right. And I know I'm actually doing what's in my power to do. Yeah. I just don't have the reach I want. However, I'm reaching as far as I can through the internet.
Absolutely. And in the studio. I mean,
absolutely.
People, you know, getting them out the streets, you know, opening this platform for folks and being able to get off the streets and make something of themselves, you know, tap into the creative side and try to better yourself. Definitely. You know, that's why I love being able to have a lot of different young artists on this show, because it's just like, I want to be able to create the platform so you don't have to be out there in the streets. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You don't have to be out there doing Lord knows what, you know. So
give the people something to do.
You give what you can.
And you know, a lot of youth, especially like in the area where I currently reside, the South Side, right? You get people saying, hey, you know, maybe I want to put my son or daughter in cheerleading or football or AAU basketball. And they're like, okay, well, I don't have the money. I can't get a uniform. I can't get shoes and stuff like that. Right. And I'll be like, dang, since we don't have the money or resources to put into them like that, right? They go out and resort to, okay, let me go find somebody or a group that can get me this quick money. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when they get that quick money, they stay in it. Like, oh, okay.
It's a vicious cycle. Yeah. It's a vicious cycle, and it's unlearned helplessness, you know? It's just like you grow with what you know, you know, and that's your environment. And if you're in that environment, that's what you're going to adapt to.
Yep.
So, no, definitely. I 100% agree with you and wanting to give back as much as I can, you know, and create a platform for everybody as much as I can. You know, like we said, we can only reach so far.
Right.
So far. With social media, you know, we could reach a little bit further. But at the same time, you know, I want to be able to reach as many people here in Sacramento County.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like the world's understanding on mental health has changed since you first became aware of mental health?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was telling you about a sis of ours, real community activist, real community advocate, you know. Her name is Miss Mariana.
Nice.
And
shout out Miss Mariana.
Yeah, shout out Miss Mariana. Actually, when I first ran into her, she was rapping first.
Okay.
Right? She was, and she still does a little bit of rap, you know what I mean? However, she does more of what you're doing, advocating for mental health. Nice. She goes to community events, schools, teaches, mentors, collaborates with different people. I mean, and also she's written a book on safety measures and how we can, as a people, be ready in an emergency if something happens. Hey, how to put together a pack, or you know, a survival kit, as she says. So,
I think we all should have that, especially after this pandemic. You know, everybody should have a bag ready to go. Ready to go. Or we would say ready to go. Got to be ready to go. Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready. For sure. Yeah. So she made you more aware of what's going on in the community and with mental health issues. Yeah. And it's just opened up your mind to knowing that we got to step in.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, growing in age and then having a different circle. Right. You do run into more wiser people, wiser counsel, right? And so you start to pay attention to what they're involved with, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
A lot of them incorporate mental health,
mental wellness,
everything they do.
Absolutely, because we really want to be able to, you know, teach people that, yeah, your physical health is very important, but your mental health is just as important. It's part of it, you know, and that's part of your whole make, you know, and you have to be able to take care of all of it, your mind, body, and soul, you know, and a lot of people say, I'm not going to therapy. I'm not letting them people know what's going on. But, you know, there's a lot of different therapies. There's a lot of different things you could do, you know, in order to reach for help.
You know, it was looked at as taboo in the Black community to go seek therapy or mental assistance, right? We were always told to go, you know, just pray about it.
Pray about it. That's what I've been hearing a lot, and that's what a lot of, you know, and it's still a stigma on that.
It's still a stigma because, like, I will say this, not to bring up religion, however, like, a lot of people, when they say they are religious or they have some sort of faith system, right? You know, they say, okay, well, I believe in the Bible.
Right.
And in Psalms chapter 1, right? There's a verse that starts off, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly.
Right.
Counsel.
Right. Yeah. You got to get the help. You got to get the help.
And we are here to what? Serve and service one another with our gifts and talents.
Exactly. We're not supposed to do it alone. We're not here to do it alone. You know, we weren't created for that.
Thank you.
We weren't created for that.
Thank you.
So,
you
know, definitely it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's okay to get outside help.
And there are people here gifted in that area.
Yeah, definitely. There are some folks out there, you know, that have bad experiences and don't trust the system, like most Blacks, you know, our community. I wonder why, but, you know, definitely. But I think, like, with the change in mental health and the world, you know, the world's changing, and you just got to be an advocate for yourself. Like, you really got to be like, you know, something ain't right, and then just find the right people. And God says, if you ask, you shall receive, you know. That's if that's what you want, and you want to take care of yourself, you know, and you really, 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 truly believe that you want to take care of yourself, then you got to reach out for help, and God will guide you to the right places.
Yeah,
I believe that.
You got to be whole and complete. I thoroughly believe that. And now, like, mental health or mental wellness, right, is becoming the new sexy. Being vulnerable is becoming the new sexy.
And take care. It is
women
sexy as taking care of yourself.
And a lot of brothers are accepting that now, like,
because I'm not fucking with that toxic shit no more.
Period.
I'm not gonna be in no relationship with no toxic ass nigga. I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry, I said it, but you know, I've been in too many of those. Man. You know, so somebody who's really taking care of themselves, you know, their mind, body, and soul, you know, and like you said, being vulnerable about it, and really healing that childhood trauma, you know, that's dope.
Right.
To me.
Right.
That's dope. You know, that and I can't fuck with nobody else that's really not elevating themselves and learning about themselves in that way.
That part.
You know?
Right.
So yeah, like you said, the new sexy. I like that.
It is.
I like that. That. So do you think bringing awareness to mental health in our community will help stop the stigma?
I think it'll have a great impact.
Yeah,
that's a yes.
Yeah, definitely. Like, especially like the music, our music. Yeah, you know, we be out there in the streets. And not in the streets. We be in the streets, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
We've been running each other, you know, at all these different shows. Yeah. And there's a lot of artists, and you know, like artists get a bad rap. You know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all this and that. You know, so just bringing awareness to this community. Yeah. You think it's important because a lot of people, you know, like get rich quick if they can get a deal. Whatever, then they got all this money and don't know what to do with it because mentally they're not really educated on how to do these types of things. And then a lot of people, you know, suffer from depression, anxiety, you know, the pressures of being a rapper or an artist or, you know,
or just being a human
being. Being a human being.
In the United States,
you're right. You're right. Just being a human being. Yeah. So you think bringing more awareness to this community will help stop the stigma? Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. If not on a global, I mean, you know, we, like you saying, we start out grassroots in our local communities and then expand out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. If I could just reach one person on this podcast and get somebody else to be like, look, I really want to take what she said, check myself, check my mental health, you know, and get the help. Right. You know, and it's hard work, but it's worth it. You know, you got to advocate for yourself because only you know what's going on in your body, in your mind.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, that's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in seeking outside support or therapy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, find your tribe.
Right.
Like you what was the question, like a couple by the name of Paul and Lori, right? Paul and Lori, they always said, look at the 5 people you hang around the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the average of what you're going to be, I believe, right? That's the average of what you're going to be, right? So you do have to surround yourself with more like-minded people,
Right, or
more
people smarter
like-minded.
than you, because you want to be
Correct.
able to learn something from them.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanna soak up all the wisdom,
All
all
the
the game,
all the
all the
knowledge.
knowledge, all the
Yeah.
education, all
100%.
the information, and not only that, not only soak it up, I want to actually implement it.
Absolutely.
I
That's
want
what
to
we're here
be
for.
convicted of that
Elevate.
information
Yeah.
and implement it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I was like, when I got the opportunity to come over here and, record, that's like a
Yeah.
step up. And I'm just like, that's dope,
That's
It's
nice.
definitely dope. I appreciate it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, no, you definitely really, really want to be able to do that. But seeking therapy helps too, because when you going through shit, you don't want to just, of course you have family, of course you have friends, and, you maybe have a partner, but it's really good for you to seek outside support for yourself.
Yeah.
Especially
somebody who don't really know you, and they just,
right.
You come into their office, you sit down in their chair, their couch, okay?
And they're not biased. They're sitting there non-judgmental,
They're
not biased, and they
biased.
just gonna sit there and listen to you. And then once you get that out, and
they gonna give you an honest assessment.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So are you seeking outside support for your mental health? For your own mental health and well-being?
Do. Actually, I will say this, and I'm an advocate for this. EAP. Employee Assistance Program.
Yep. And is that the free one?
Yes. So if you are employed, right, check with your employer.
Right.
Because they'll give you like a bulk of free sessions. Like
take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that.
You're paying for it.
Absolutely.
It's a benefit to
right.
you.
Right. Take advantage of it. I think everybody. Preventatives are definitely good.
That to me, that's preventative and being proactive.
Absolutely. 100%. Definitely.
Right?
No, it's good. It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you trust it?
Do I trust
because some people might have had a therapist that really isn't they don't feel it or wasn't a good fit. And I always like to say this is just, if you don't trust it, you need to advocate for yourself and you need to shop around. And just because you're assigned a therapist or a doctor or somebody in your life doesn't mean that you have to listen to what they say. You could always ask for a referral.
Yeah.
Because some people have had bad experiences with therapy.
You got me thinking. I guess my answer to that will be it depends.
Right.
Because, sometimes like when I do talk to counselors and therapists, they ask you questions and then you're actually gauging, you're doing the introspection, right?
You gotta think deep.
You're actually, and also to pray. I don't know if you know this, but when you pray, or when a person prays, not necessarily when you pray, when a person prays, right? It actually means to judge oneself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's to take a look within, seek within, go in.
Deep.
Yes. Go in, seek deep. Right. So you ask yourself, is this beneficial to me? Because sometimes we do know something and sometimes we don't.
Right.
But sometimes we don't know. We have a light within us that can help us navigate to some sort of dark area in our life, right?
Right.
So we have that light that's lighting up when we're getting asked questions like, oh, okay, light bulb went off. Now I can see this area that was always in me.
Right.
But I needed that engaging conversation with someone
and
to turn that light on.
It's therapeutic. No,
and be
absolutely.
like, to illuminate this thing that was already in me.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. Praying, meditating, all that is therapeutic. Definitely. 100%, and you got to be in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just getting help and then spending time alone. That's definitely therapeutic. Yeah. No, for sure.
Oh, being in solitude is definitely needed at times, right?
Right.
Being in solitude and then getting with the community, a collective, right? You have to have that happy medium, that balance.
Yeah,
right?
No, for sure.
So
For sure, definitely.
yeah.
What are some coping skills you use to get through the day?
You really want my answer to this?
All the answers. Dig deep.
You want
Thursday therapies. Whatever you do. Everybody does a lot of different things.
Okay. So I go from one extreme end of the spectrum to another.
And it might switch from day to day.
Yeah. So therapy, I got a lot. So I don't like to talk about it a lot, but it's very dear to me. So I read the Bible a lot, and actually I taught myself to read biblical Hebrew and biblical Greek. I can read a little bit of it, right?
Wow.
So I do that.
Wow.
Next thing I do is I exercise. I work out.
Yeah.
Now, I started back working out again after maybe about 5 months. I had a real sore right wrist, and that's very therapeutic, working out.
Absolutely.
Every rep, I just feel the stress and the gunk coming out. While I'm working out, and this is the extreme, I listen to ratchet hip hop music.
Dope. I love it. Yeah, that's therapeutic to me because I love me some ratchet music.
Hey,
that shit is just our culture. That's who we are.
How you go from Kirk Franklin
right,
to
right,
Sexy
right.
Red?
That's
I
okay.
mean,
that's dope. That's how I be. That's how I be for real. No,
But
because
yeah.
if it takes you there, that makes you
yeah.
feel good. That's therapeutic.
Yeah.
And it's out there for us. That's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, and I make sure it's not harmful to me.
Right.
I try to make sure it's not harmful to others.
Right.
Like even when I asked you earlier, I said, "Hey, do you want this on your set?" Like if you don't want that on your set, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're mindful.
They're
Definitely
considerate.
Right. Consider a lot of people.
You know why?
Are, yeah.
Because I want somebody to be
like that
of
to me. Exactly. I feel you. I speak your
I
language.
might
for
fall
sure.
short sometimes, but I really try to be considerate.
We're only human. We can only do so much.
Correct.
I don't hate nobody for that. We all God's children.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, do you believe in having a creative outlet is important to managing mental health, and why?
Yes. There's so many things I want to do, Jamie. There's so many things I want to do in a day.
Right.
Like I said, I want to spend more time being able to read.
Yeah.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, get this Woods Wrx Media in, right? So there's a lot of work and service to be done.
You got a lot of visions.
That.
I see the vision. We're in the vision right here. This is dope here,
Yeah. I wanna get to all that. I want to be able to do all that. I want to be able to relive a little bit of my childhood,
right?
And play with chemistry sets,
okay,
and have blow up stuff.
Okay,
I'm not blowing nothing up, but
okay. But if you know what you're doing, then it's okay.
But,
and
that's
then
a different craft. I also want to, I want to, outside of this, spend more time with my husband. I want to make sure we could still, do the fun
time.
things we love. Outside of, going to a restaurant and eat,
Right, yeah.
I was telling a family member, I want to make sure we could still get out on the water. You know what I mean? I want to make sure we
always
still get out
every
on the water.
summer we got. I love the water.
Yeah.
I love the water. That's dope.
Because you know what I want to do for my husband. I want to mess with him some more. Any chance I get,
right?
I want to mess with him.
Right,
you know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying? Yeah. I want to get on his nerves.
Yeah. So,
no.
You got any music? Oh shit! So creative outlets. So do you have I know because I met you guys through the music and I seen you on the mic.
Yeah.
So do you write music? Are you writing any music or?
I have written the last music I've written, and I want to try to get more into it, is incorporating the Hebrew into rap song.
Wow.
Yeah,
you got a lot
I've done it a little bit once in a song, but I want to do more of that. I want to actually get more creative with the editing skills. That's a love of mine,
All right. Nice. I seen you light up the other day when we had our meeting. I seen you. We were talking about the natural plan, and I seen you lighting up over there about that.
Yeah,
so
I'm
that's
like,
dope.
okay, this is let me get more into this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then the fun stuff. I want to get back to skating a little bit.
I do too.
Yeah.
That I love.
You want to get back
roller
into
skating?
Man,
Yeah.
I miss the late night adult night skates a little bit, but there's so much I want to do. There's so much recreating I want to do.
Right.
And but just creating. But this is the main thing that's taking up my time now, and it's allowing me to be real creative.
This is a beautiful thing. I love this setup here.
We appreciate that.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yes, no, for sure. So, what can you tell our listeners to encourage them to check on their mental health?
I could tell the listeners, you know what? There's only one you.
Right.
And
Facts.
there's only one you that's going to be great at being you.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to be you because you're great.
Deep.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you contribute more to this planet than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Check yourself, check your mental health.
Yeah.
Only you could do it.
Yeah.
Only you could do it for yourself.
Right.
That's deep.
Yeah, and understand, we all have our flaws. We all have things we work on. However, we work together to get through those things.
As a collective, as a community.
And work them out.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears. Do you have any music or anything you want to share? You want to sing? You want to rap? You want to spit some bars?
Oh, man. You want me to spit?
If you want to, if you feel like you want to, that's what it's for. It's for all creatives, rappers, writers, poets, artists, activists.
I'm going to spit for
all
you.
Creatives.
Because a lot of people's like, man, Shan-Shan, when you going to get back on the mic?
That's
and
what
rap?
I'm talking about. I done heard you on the mic. That's what I'm like. And your energy be so good.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so I'll spit for you now. Let's see. Let me take a swig of this water.
Okay.
Let me take a swig of this water. And get ready.
Okay.
This is.
She about to take a swig of her water, y'all. She gonna get on it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite freestyles to do.
Okay.
Sacramento City high life is quite nice. Show where I got my stripes. Run a tab at the bar with my Visa checking card. Fitted so I show flesh. Rub my tummy, feel sweat. Think that you done saw it all? You ain't seen nothing yet. That's after the sun is set. But after the sunrise, confessing in the confessional. No amateur but professional. Think I ain't got no game because I don't flip no birds. But I do know how to flip the adjectives and verbs. Know how to come across to a point. Know how to make you tax to my joint. With this liberal Louis I spit. I'm fully equipped. Sunfire, fully equipped with that 12-inch wolf. You'll call me Nas for the night because I made you look.
Hey.
I fumbled a little bit. Lord have mercy. That was a tongue twister.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Thursday therapies with the rappers. That's what I'm talking about. Shan-Shan on the mic. Yeah,
you got little piece, huh?
Yeah.
Now y'all really about
That's
to
what I'm
have
talking
me
about.
come back out. Like, you're gonna be the next person.
She definitely coming out the woodworks. She definitely coming out the woodworks.
You caught it.
Hey, I love that. So do you have any events coming up? I know you get on the mic sometimes with your husband. Does he have any events coming up you want to shout out to the listeners?
Yeah, so I'll be out with my husband, Torch One Blazin.
Torch One Blazin in the house.
Broderick, second Saturdays.
Yep, second Saturdays.
That's what's going on. Yep, in West Sac. And then every third Wednesday of the month, they have a residency at Torch Club.
Okay, yep, Torch Club.
Yeah, you can come out for that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
and also,
definitely.
I believe it's first Fridays of the month at Whiskey Tango.
Whiskey Tango.
Yeah, so Torch One Blazin
okay.
with the band Solidarity.
Nice.
Torch One Blazin and DC.
Okay.
With Solidarity.
With Shan-Shan on the mic.
Yeah, you know.
Because she be shot. You be. I know. I see you
talking
on the
about
mic.
Do it for yourself.
Hey.
They love that. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Torch
I
be
love
like,
it.
Can I bring my wife on stage?
Yeah, of course. I love it.
They be like, who
it.
are you? What's your name?
Yep.
The wife.
Right.
I think
that's what I'm talking. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, do you have any projects you're working on? Like you said, you're working on
Woods
the
Wrx
Woods Wrx Media.
Is
this
project.
is dope. The project. Yeah. So come on, folks. If you need something recorded, a podcast, a video, you need to record some music, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Woods Wrx Media.
Hey, Torch
definitely.
One Blazin, he got the music production. You know what I mean? Like he could whip you up a nice beat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's it. You want to share with them what your media is, your social media?
So y'all, Woods Wrx Media. If you need podcast space rental, with the equipment, we got you covered. Right? If you want to do some music recording, we got that too.
Tap
you need
in.
some editing done for your videography that you got done somewhere else, we can hook you up with that too.
Tap in, y'all.
Yeah.
Tap in. Check yourself. Check your mental health. That's it. We done now.
Yeah.
Yep. Check yourself. Check your mental health. That's what I'm talking about. Jay did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope. I like that. Yes, goodbye. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Check yourself, check your mental health. Tap in to Thursday Therapies and Woods Wrx Media. I stand alone and try to get to the throne. Fine ass, sassy red bone. Waiting for my husband to come take me home. Girl, crazy. Bitch, so sexy, I take myself on a date. Tell that hoe, make sure she eat everything on her plate. Call myself and leave a message saying I'ma be home late.